Imagine you're standing inside a bookstore. On one side, there's Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, a bold cover, and right above the title, best-selling author. On the other side, there's Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach, simple cover, no loud claims, just a seagull, flying alone. Both books changed millions of lives, but you picked Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Why? Was it the content, or was it that small psychological signal, best-selling author, that made it feel safer? You didn't know the story yet. You didn't read both books fully, but your brain already decided. And that's what we're talking about today.
You've seen it happen. It seems like it comes out of nowhere. One day, a product is just there, buried on page 10. And the next, it's absolutely everywhere, impossible to ignore. Well, that's not an accident. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and deconstruct the invisible machine that actually manufactures these bestsellers.
And you know, it often starts with this, just a small, simple orange badge. Bestseller. But what does that really mean? What is it signaling? Is it just a reward for having a good product? Or maybe a stroke of luck? Or is it evidence of something else entirely?
The answer is pretty clear. No, it isn't luck. It's a system, a very carefully engineered feedback loop that connects human psychology with the platform's code. It is a system, one that's specifically designed so that success actively and almost automatically breeds more success.
Now, to really get this system, you first have to understand the problem it solves. Because for most people trying to sell something online, the day-to-day reality isn't some exciting rocket launch. No, it's more like a hamster wheel. You're pouring in all this effort, you're running as fast as you possibly can, but the business, it isn't actually moving forward. You know the feeling. You pour a bunch of money into ads, and for a moment, the sales chart spikes. You feel that jolt of hope. But the second you turn those ads off, it's just silence. The momentum is gone. That's because you're in a linear system. It requires constant, manual pushing just to stay in the same place.
So what's the secret? What is the system that these bestseller products are using? The answer isn't some single trick or a hack. It's a fundamental shift in how you think about growth. It's about making the decisions to get off the hamster wheel and start building a flywheel.
The most famous example of this thinking actually comes from a really simple sketch. The story goes that Jeff Bezos drew it on a napkin way back in 2001. He called it the virtuous cycle. Today, we know it as the Amazon flywheel, and it basically laid out the blueprint for a trillion-dollar company.
So the whole concept comes from engineering. A flywheel is this huge, heavy wheel that is incredibly hard to get moving at first. Those first few pushes feel almost useless, but with each push, you're adding stored energy. You're building momentum. And eventually, you hit this tipping point where the wheel's own weight starts working for you, spinning faster and faster, almost on its own. And Bezos applied this exact idea to his business. It went like this. A great customer experience leads to more traffic. More traffic on the site attracts more sellers who want to reach those customers. More sellers create a greater selection of products. And that massive selection, well, that improves the customer experience all over again. See how each part of the cycle feeds and accelerates the next one?
And this is the crucial mindset shift. You have to stop focusing on constant manual pushing and instead start focusing on building a system that generates its own momentum. You're no longer the engine of the business, you're the architect of the engine.
Okay, but how does a single product get its own flywheel spinning? Well, it happens through this really clever feedback loop between the platform's code and, believe it or not, the customer's brain. It's this brilliant mix of raw technology and deep psychology.
The single most important piece of this whole puzzle is your conversion rate, or CVR. All that means is the percentage of people who visit your product page and actually make a purchase. To the algorithm, a high CVR is the most powerful signal you can send. It proves that a product isn't just relevant to a search, it's desirable.
Now, once your conversion rate gets high enough, the platform rewards you with the badge. But this isn't just some digital sticker. It's a powerful psychological trigger called social proof. And this is the principle that when we feel unsure about a decision, we just tend to follow the crowd, assuming that what they're doing must be the correct action.
The entire function of that badge is really simple.
The badge, it isn't decoration. It's a shortcut to trust. It's a clear signal to a new buyer that thousands of other people have already made this choice, and it removes almost all of their hesitation.
And that trust shortcut just triggers a cascade effect in our brains. It creates a herd mentality. It sparks a little bit of FOMO, a fear of missing out. And it allows the customer to just bypass all that deep, time-consuming research. These little psychological nudges are what cause the conversion rate to increase so dramatically. And right here, this is where the flywheel achieves breakthrough momentum. The badge increases your conversion rate. That higher CVR signals the algorithm to boost your ranking in search results. The higher ranking means you get more traffic. And thanks to the social proof of the badge, that new traffic also converts at a really high rate. The loop is now closed and it's self-sustained.
This is the moment. This is the breakthrough. You can stop pushing. The flywheel is now spinning under its own power. The system is finally working for you. Higher visibility drives more sales, which in turn drives even higher visibility. The growth becomes automatic.
So the big question is, how do you actually build this? Well, here's the practical blueprint. It's all about shifting from scattered, random efforts to a really concentrated force. It's not about doing more work. It's about doing the right things in the right order to get that wheel to start spinning.
There are 4 big pushes you need to make. First, you have to concentrate your force. That means taking your entire launch budget and focusing it into a short, powerful burst to get the algorithm's attention. 2, obsess over conversion. Your product page needs to be a fine-tuned conversion machine before you even think about driving traffic. 3, signal with external traffic. Driving people from places like TikTok or Google shows the algorithm your product is relevant outside its own little world. And finally, number 4, you have to adapt. Because the flywheel is not a static thing. Today's Amazon algorithm, which a lot of analysts call A12, it's looking at all new signals. It actually considers your real-time profitability. It uses something called a shipment proximity index to favor products that are stored closer to customers. It even gives a direct ranking boost for things like sustainability badges. And that external demand from other sites, that can now account for up to 20% of your ranking score. You have to play the game that's being played today.
Ultimately, if you take one thing away, it should be this. That bestseller badge isn't the cause of success. It's the result of a system working perfectly. It's the visible proof of an invisible algorithmic flywheel, a sign that a product no longer needs your constant effort to thrive.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Are you spending all of your energy just running in the wheel, or are you investing that same energy into building a flywheel, a system that's designed from day one for its own unstoppable momentum?